Well, thank you so much, Mitch. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to me.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
You too. So, Mitch, you and I met a couple years ago when I first came to Celebrity Motor Cars.
Yep.
So we met talking about different radio buys. And once I started to get to know you, I was really impressed with the fact that you have been at the company that you're at for almost 20 years. And I find it to be amazing.
Yeah, it's been a very long, strange trip. I've been with. I started at WFAN exclusively when it was under Infinity Broadcasting, and that was in November of 2001. So really, while they were still clearing the debris from the World Trade Center site, and you know, it's a long time for anyone to spend at a particular place. The
It's
job,
very impressive.
yeah, the job has changed through those 19 plus years, in great ways. In that we are now part of Entercom, and while I still mostly sell WFAN, I now can sell all 235 of our stations and our online properties.
Great.
So it's really become more of a national kind of job as well as the local job. So I love the local job the most, but you know,
so you started back in 2001, and were you working in media prior to that? Before?
Yeah, I've spent 15 years on the agency side. I started out right out of college as an assistant media buyer, and spent about 15 years at various agencies buying TV and then radio.
Okay.
And that has, I think, helped me so much in this job, in that I think that buyers tend to make really good salespeople, because, you know, when you have the experience of working, spending somebody else's money on media, what you realize is that if you do it the right way, then you can basically make things happen for them and deliver them results. As a newly minted salesperson, you desperately want business, and you'll take whatever you can get, and you learn pretty fast that that's a mistake. Because if you just throw something together to get a sale, chances are it won't work out very well for the customer, and they'll never talk to you again, and they'll think that radio doesn't work, and it's going to be hard, not only for you, but for any radio salesperson to get them on the phone again. If you take your time and make sure that your client does things right, then they'll never leave you. And they can leave an agency, and it doesn't matter. They'll stay with you because you've got the relationship and you've delivered the results to them.
So you started out with what was formerly only WFAN, which has evolved into Entercom. When you first started out working for WFAN, were you primarily only the New York City market? Because I know you because the businesses that I work for are in the greater New York City metropolitan area. Were you always working in that market, or were you working outside the New York market?
Well, WFAN, you know, covers the entire tri-state area.
And just for someone who doesn't know what WFAN is, like myself, before I started as Celebrity, what is WFAN?
WFAN is and was the first ever sports radio station.
Okay.
Ever. It was the first station to do 24/7 sports radio. They started in 1987, a year after my New York Mets won their last championship. And it was a very, very big deal to Met fans and to my friends that there was going to be an all sports radio station. They founded it because they wanted to take the advertising dollars away from sports phone. And for those of you who don't remember, sports phone was 973-1313. And people would call up generally for racing results, you know, so they knew if they won or not at the track. But it also gave scores and game updates and reported trades and all that information. And the thought process was, why can't we do this on radio? And they started out, and it was a disaster at the beginning. About a year and a half in, they had the opportunity, the owners at the time, which was MS Broadcasting, the owners at the time had the opportunity to take over the current dial position, one of our current dial positions, which is 660 AM. And with that signal, we were able to take the Don Imus in the Morning radio show. So while it wasn't really a sports program, which changed the whole dynamic of the radio station, it had a built-in audience. And from that audience, we built a radio station. And Mike and the Mad Dog was close behind. 660 is also a very special signal. It can be heard in 23 states at night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very powerful multi-directional signal that gets all the right places. And we turned into a brand.
So flash forward to 2018 or 2019. When did Entercom purchase WFAN?
Entercom purchased CBS Radio.
Oh, CBS Radio. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, yes, because there were a whole bunch of ownership, not necessarily changes, but movements. CBS and I guess it was. Guess we were Infinity, and then we were CBS, and then we were Entercom. Entercom came in, and CBS wanted to flip the radio division. We were a very small piece of CBS, the radio division was. And, they made their money in TV, and they had other things that they wanted to do. And Entercom is a radio company.
Right.
And being at a company that is focused on this format that I love so much, and solely focused on this format. And we're growing in the online space as well. We've become big into podcasts, big into the digital arena. But it's a matter of taking our radio product and changing the delivery method. Because people now don't necessarily own radios, but they all have these.
Right.
And, we're available on radio.com. Radio.com broadcasts 500 different stations.
Right.
And you can carry it around in your pocket wherever you are.
Right. Or screen it in your car when you're driving.
Well, we're still on the radio, and WFAN is now on 660 AM and 101.9 FM. We did that in advance of taking the Yankees on, because it was important to the Yankees that we have a simulcast station. But Entercom has 235 radio stations across the country, and I can sell all of them.
It's fascinating.
It's fantastic. And we are the flagship station for 44 professional teams. And if somebody called me up and said, I want to do a professional baseball campaign across the country, I can make a couple of calls and have it all coordinated, and it's one-stop shop.
I feel like, Mitch, you're like a legend in like not only with us at Celebrity, but also in general, whereas everybody knows you in the media industry. Whenever I'm meeting potential vendors that I'm working with, or whenever I'm connecting with people, even on LinkedIn, everybody knows you. You know so many people. So to me, that says that, you're really great at maintaining these relationships, and you're so knowledgeable of what you do.
It's kind of what the job is all about.
Right.
If you have good relationships and you're honest with people and you admit your mistakes up front, you don't try to hide anything, because it's going to be found out. There are no secrets anymore.
Right.
And you just do a good job for people.
Yeah.
And that's the secret. It's not brain surgery.
Yeah, no, definitely. I could see that. How has COVID changed things for you over the last couple of months, with being out in the field and your business and all of that?
Well, it's hurt a lot in terms of business. I focus on automotive sales for the cluster of stations in New York, which not only includes WFAN, but 1010 Winds and CBS AM. and 4 FM stations. We've got country, country. We've got 92.3
love
alt.
Mitch. Yeah.
We
love
well, it's
Nash.
not Nash anymore. It's WNSH. But
Sorry.
we lost the Nash.
See, I'm not as well versed in radio, Mitch. You have to teach me more.
I'm saying that because when Brian sees this, he'll appreciate that I caught myself that time.
Hi, Brian.
But we CBS FM, which is a legendary FM station,
Yeah.
and WNEW, which is an AC station. Where was I? COVID. Yeah. Well, I specialize in automotive sales and dealing with tier 3 and tier 2 automotive.
Oh, I didn't know that you dealt with tier 2.
I have 2 tier 2s that I deal with, and mostly on the sports side for the Mets and Yankees.
Very cool.
And I love the business. I love automotive. I've been a car guy as long as I've been a sports and music guy. So it's really, it's a good fit for me here. What I can say is that, with the auto business being challenged as it is, there have been a couple of tier 3s that have stayed on through this. They're gradually getting back in, starting to dip toes, got to build up the co-op again until they get back to the regular budgets. That's not really something that can be forced. Mm-hmm. You guys run your business and you've got to do what you have to do. And it's my job just to keep you informed of anything that's going on that might be of interest, that might, help move you forward. But I've always considered my job as a consultant and trying to, listen to what my customers need and try to find the right fit for them. And then just delivering value.
Yeah. Are you seeing any trends emerge over the course of the last year or so with podcasts and digital and traditional radio? Sure.
For a long time with CBS, I think we tried to play in the digital space a little bit over our heads. Mm-hmm. Now with Entercom, what we've done is we've kind of developed a bunch of online assets as well as on-air assets where you can actually quantify how effective your cat's fighting here. This is like live radio, folks. We've got, so we can quantify. We've got Entercom Analytics, which will tell you, it'll measure your web activity within 8 minutes of a commercial airing. So you can actually see.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's a big trend. There is the trend onto the online. Our streaming numbers, especially during COVID, have gone through the roof because people have been out of their cars. So the in-home listening has skyrocketed. That will continue. I think that we'll hold on to that as more and more people start listening via smart speakers and on their phones.
What's some advice that you would give a business owner right now who's thinking about maybe doing some digital streaming or radio and they're kind of not sure? What advice would you give to them?
Well, it really depends on what their business is and what they're looking to accomplish and what their budget is. For a long time, it was very, very difficult for a small business to get onto WFAN and do so effectively. Because it's a station that's very, very well in demand. And if you go over to our friends at 1010 Wins, I mean, it costs a fortune to get on the air sometimes in morning drive. But what you do is you find out what kind of budget somebody is dealing with, and then you put the schedule together that will most affect them, that they'll get the most results from. It's radio, you need some frequency. Mm-hmm. So, you look at things, if you have a challenging budget, you look to do maybe something with 15-second spots. Mm-hmm. We've got a traffic, weather, and information network where we own inventory on all of our stations that is connected with our traffic reports, our weather reports, and on the FMs we do this hour of music is brought to you by.
Okay.
And what we would do in that case is we would take this traffic report, and it would be sponsored by, say, Lexus of Route 10, and then follow it with the report, and then follow it with a 15-second commercial, which, depending on what station it is, it could either be read live or it could be read to sound live, recorded to sound live.
Very cool.
Yeah, and if you get enough of that, and that's interesting because it's a short message, but you're owning a piece of an hour of programming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's owning a piece of that hour. And if you do that and it starts to sink in, you do it for a few weeks, and then maybe you take a couple of weeks off, and then you start flighting in. You know, you want to hit the message hard because you want to let people know that you're there. And after people hear the message, if you take a couple of weeks off, if they hear you again in a couple of weeks, they're going to think you're still there. You know, it's like you never left.
Right. Right. Definitely. Well, once things kind of get back to normal, what are you most looking forward to coming out of being quarantined? And you're in New York City, so you're like in the center of everything. Like me in New Jersey, you're also in it, but you're in a building in New York City.
I am so looking forward to going back to the office. I miss my coworkers, most of them.
They might see
And
that.
I say that with love. I really do miss the interaction.
Yeah.
Not only with my fellow salespeople, but with management, with the programming department, with the on-air talent.
Right.
There is nothing like being in the dugout, like when the magic happens. And it's, you know, one of the things that's really shocked me about working from home, which I've done since, I guess my last day in the office was March 12th. There has been a seamless kind of transition to working out of the house. And we had, this company had these protocols in place. And I have no idea whether it was thought of that this could possibly happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the reaction that went into effect and the systems that were quickly developed,
That's awesome.
has been unbelievable. And it's just you know, I say this in no sucking up way, but it is a joy to work for a company that thinks about these things.
That's actually the reason you've stayed around for so long.
Yeah, that's so not true.
I'm just teasing you.
But it's been a ride. It's been great. I love what I do, and that, you know, we were talking a little earlier about you know, any advice for somebody who wants to get into radio sales. And I was talking with an old friend's kid today because, you know, all of them, my friends' kids, my nephews, they all want to get into sports in some way, shape, or form.
Exciting.
And that's what you really have to do. If I had an advice for anybody who wants to get into any business, just do what you love, because then it's not work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a theme that I've been hearing. I think that's awesome.
And then you find nice people to do business with, and it makes it even better.
Definitely. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, Mitch, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, I'll go with your dad's advice and say call you. but you know, it's mitch.amster@entercom.com.
Okay.
And you know, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm here.
All right.
I'm happy to talk to anybody, and take it from there. Because
Awesome.
that's how it starts. It starts with a call, and it doesn't happen. That's another thing. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, sometimes it takes months, you know, to do a commercial and to do a campaign the right way. And that's really one of the great things about longevity, because you've got a little bit of time.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Mitch. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, Melanie. Have a great weekend.
You too.